How much should we know about a person before they run for office to represent us? The latest case against a state representative has us wondering what we don't know about the others walking around the state capitol. It's the move that drivers love to hate when a bike rolls through a stop sign. State lawmakers gave communities the ability to make it legal, but no one has yet. What do you say when you drive over that mountain pass just north of the Rio Grande National Forest? And we'll send you into the weekend with our good news, the sunshine we've so desperately needed. Next. How much should you know about a candidate's past before they run for office? Now that we know State Representative Javon Melton was arrested for domestic violence prior to being elected, should voters have known that before he was first elected? Our Marshall Zellinger asked that question to Governor John Hickenlooper and found out how candidates are checked in the first place.
Colorado Springs right now.
At a gathering at the Capitol that had nothing to do with Representative Javon Melton, we asked Governor John Hickenlooper whether or not he thinks Melton should resign.
I want to think about it and hear more information and make sure that we're getting the full story about everything before we rush to judgment.
The three top Democrats in the House have called on Melton to resign following the revelation that he had domestic violence arrests prior to becoming an elected state representative.
I'm a believer that people should disclose their things in their past.
The party does a background check on you.
At a news conference yesterday, Representative Joe Salazar joined former Denver Mayor Wellington Webb and prominent African-American leaders by saying the call to have Melton resign was based on race. Salazar also made it sound like Melton's arrests were well known.
I know that they already run background checks. So to act as if this is a surprise, it seems dubious and skeptical.
We checked with both the Colorado Democratic Party and the state Republican Party. A Democratic Party spokesman told me it is standard practice to vet candidates in targeted and recruited races. Former GOP Chairman Steve House told me you background your candidates, especially in districts where you know you're going to be very competitive. That's standard protocol. So even if it's known, how long should your past be allowed to haunt you?
If they've been found guilty and paid some punishment, do they get forgiveness? Is Colorado really the best place, the worst place to commit a violent crime, but the best place to get a second chance? That's what we as a society are trying to figure out.
I've not been told if Melton was backgrounded before his first race. The closest race he's ever had was his primary, another Democrat. He won by 51 votes. For voters in Aurora, you're going to see someone on your ballot running against Javon Melton. On this sample ballot, it says Dahlia Weinstein. But that's not the person running. She withdrew, and a vacancy committee just selected Lynn Myers to replace her. So this is what you're going to see on your ballot, and any vote for Weinstein is going to be a vote for Melton's new opponent, Lynn Myers.
That
Steve.
could get a bit confusing, it would seem like, but maybe not. I don't know. This race just got really, really interesting, Marshall. Thank you. A private group is accusing Democratic Governor John Hickenlooper of breaking state ethics laws by not reporting travel on private flights paid for by businesses. A new nonprofit organization called the Public Trust Institute filed that complaint with the state's Independent Ethics Commission. A 2006 constitutional amendment bans gifts to elected officials worth more than $59 with limited exceptions. The gist of the response from the governor this afternoon is that politics are at play here. The statement calls the accusations trumped up, frivolous, and clearly a political stunt aimed at influencing the upcoming election. The complaint comes as Hickenlooper explores a potential presidential run in 2020. The director of that group that filed the complaint is Frank McNulty, a former Republican Speaker of the Colorado House. Now, earlier this week, we passed along a question from multiple viewers. Why are there no Yes on 112 TV ads, and who is supporting that whole issue? Then we heard from many of you who support 112 and found some Yes on 112 signs in the area. So 112 is the issue that will limit where future oil and gas operations could be in Colorado. It would require them to be farther than 2,500 feet from schools, buildings, playgrounds, even streams. There's a heavy rotation of no on 112 ads on TV. A spokeswoman for the Yes side told us that they are a grassroots campaign and that TV ads are not the best uses of their funds. And on Facebook, Heidi shared this post showing us how the Yes side is getting its message out. It's now time for our shameless The More You Know ripoff called You Should Probably Know This. The U.S. Senate has confirmed Jason Dunn as U.S. Attorney for Colorado, the top federal prosecutor in this state. Dunn has been a shareholder at the law and lobbying firm Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Schreck, focusing on political and regulatory law. President Trump nominated Dunn in June. Moving forward, he'll be an important voice as Colorado adjusts to the Trump administration's moves on immigration and marijuana enforcement. Dunn replaces Bob Troyer, an Obama administration holdover appointed acting U.S. attorney about 2 years ago. Aurora police want to know if you recognize the person who tried to kidnap an 11-year-old girl walking near Exposition and Nome yesterday evening. They released a surveillance photo of that suspect, described as a 39-year-old Caucasian male. He's about 6 feet 4 inches tall, was wearing a black coat with a hood, jeans, and black shoes. The girl says that he grabbed her, put his hands over her mouth, so she bit him and she screamed before he ran off. Investigators say they're actually talking to a person of interest in this case, but that person has not been arrested. So if you know anything about any of this, contact the Aurora Police Department. Drivers, take a deep breath. You are about to see video of something that will make you seethe. I know this because when I appeared to do it on live TV yesterday, I got a few angry emails about it. So let's talk about bikes and stop signs. All right, drivers, deep breaths. I know this makes you mad, but we figured we ought to unwrap the current state of the safety stop. You know, where cyclists approach an intersection that's clear and then roll right through.
Visibility is important, and being able to keep moving is important. And so when you are out in front in an intersection, you're actually much safer.
It really ticks off drivers, just like I'm sure this video of cars rolling through that same stop sign ticks off cyclists. But there's no statewide law allowing safety stops for bikes in Colorado like there is in other states like Idaho.
Idaho did it in 1982, and they have seen a dramatic reduction in crashes since doing that.
That's Jack Todd with Bicycle Colorado, a group that supported a similar effort in the state capital to legalize that move in Colorado. It didn't work, but
last legislative session in 2018, he introduced a similar bill, but one that allowed communities to opt in.
That passed. So essentially any community in Colorado could opt in to allowing so-called safety stops if they want. But since it passed in the spring, no community has.
It's an election year. People do find it tough to get out in front of stuff like that. There are murmurs of some communities interested in enacting it.
So technically these cyclists are breaking the law. But that might change.
Bicycles and drivers, motor vehicles, are fundamentally different vehicles. And so we might need to think about different ways to treat them on the roadways.
Aspen, Breckenridge, Dillon, and most of Summit County all allow safety stops. They did long before this was law. So we asked Denver police how many tickets they've issued to cyclists for failing to stop at a stop sign this year. We are still waiting to hear back from the department on that one. So no one guessed it would be this popular. A giant troll made of recycled wood placed along the Wellington Trail in Breckenridge. But what was supposed to be a display for the Festival of Arts turned into a must-see attraction months later. And now some neighbors there, they feel, well, you know, a little trolled. We told you about this back in August when a Danish artist started work on a 15-foot troll. The town of Breckenridge says the timeline on how long the gentle giant will stay is actually flexible, perhaps more flexible after hearing this. Neighbors are complaining about illegal parking, trash, noise from the visitors coming out there. The town has put together a task force to address some of those issues.
We've created a flyer with the bus routes so that we hopefully reduce the number of people who are trying to drive up there. We're also, putting out more sign information about where people can park and where they can't park. We're working on some wayfinding signs about how to find the troll. And we're also having some of our police officers go up there to maybe help mitigate some of the impacts
of the troll. The town says there are no immediate plans to remove the troll. We spoke to neighbors who say they appreciate this thing and how it brings the community together outdoors. So if you plan a visit, there is a way to help make sure the troll sticks around longer.
Really recommend people to use transit and to follow leave no trace principles to minimize the impact to the residential area. And people can, from the core of town, people can park and they can take the purple route, and that will take them up to the French Gulch area, and there they can see the signage for the Wellington Trail of how to hike to the troll.
This is the best line you will hear on TV news all day. The Troll Task Force will present their troll management plan to the town council in 2 weeks. Escaping through art.
When I felt lonely, art was the only thing I would turn to. I'm a different person when I'm in my art world.
A refugee and artist shares her story and a very Colorado way to help survivors of Hurricane Michael. Next.
It's almost like a religion of thought.
Leave shadows on the clouds.
Look to the heavens, lines in the sky that captivate conspiracy theorists. Chemtrails, followers convinced something evil and secret is going on.
I can hear you now. Why are we wasting time on this? Social media has become fertilizer for this conspiracy. Recent surveys indicate 1 in 5 Americans believe in this theory.
So I could see a line in the sky.
Yes,
right
2 of them.
right
Yeah.
now.
They do tend to put them in front of the sun, which makes sense if they're trying to block sunlight.
What do you think is going on up there?
Well, what they say is that this is sort of a desperate measure to counteract global warming.
Zadnik is quick to say he doesn't trust the government. Can you blame the guy? After all, our government doesn't really have the greatest track record when it comes to telling the truth. Agent Orange, the Tuskegee syphilis study, the human plutonium injection experiments. I can go on and on. That's the government. But what about science?
What is that white line in the sky behind a plane?
Well, the white line behind a jet is a natural process that goes on with the relationship between the aerodynamics of the aircraft and the atmosphere.
They won't even say that word. Scientifically, they're called condensation trails. Contrails for short.
So what you're really doing is you're sort of artificially generating a cloud.
So what we see up there is not the government intentionally putting chemicals into the sky for geoengineering.
No.
There's no accepted scientific evidence whatsoever that proves a covert program is real. Based on our highly credible experts and scientific approach to chemtrails, we can verify the chemtrail conspiracy is false.
Latina for me means family.
Being Latino to me means having pride in my heritage.
It means being part of a community where you're never alone.
Being Latina is being strong and independent.
Being Latino is really everything to me.
It's who I am.
Being Latina to me means that I can achieve whatever I want.
What Latina means to me is being bold.
It's being creative, innovative, resourceful.
Being Latina means celebrating life in a unique way.
Change starts with one courageous person who steps up and speaks out. If you've been wronged or see wrongdoing, email us at blowthewhistle@9news.com.
All right, I'm not in the business of being dramatic by any means, but can we talk about the sunshine today? Didn't it just kind of lift your spirits? It was beautiful. And that sunset going to be an absolute stunner. Tonight we clear things out. We're looking at cool temperatures in the 30s around Denver, 30s along the eastern plains, 20s up in the mountains. Tomorrow we warm things up again. We kick off the day with sunshine. We're back to the low 60s around the city, out to the east, close to 70 further to the south. And then everything changes late tomorrow night. A strong storm system situated up in Canada right now dives to the south, swings this cold front in late tomorrow evening. That brings us a little bit of rain, and then it quickly switches over to snow by midnight. And then we're going to be looking at that continuing to stack up come early Sunday morning. So here's the rest of the forecast. Nothing going on. 8 a.m. tomorrow, plenty of sunshine. And then by 7 o'clock, here's that front with the rain. Quickly switches to snow across the urban corridor around midnight. And then the snow just lingers. This is 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. By about 2 o'clock, things start to wind down in the metro area as the Broncos take the field. How much will we see? Right now it looks like about 2 to 5 inches here around Denver. Higher amounts up in the mountains, the foothills above 7,000 feet, potentially up to about 10 inches. So a warm one before the storm, 25, I know. And then 12 early on Monday morning. We're back to the 50s and 60s with sunshine, Steve, by the end of next week.
So the Canadians are sending us this snow, huh? Or
How
should I
rude.
say
How rude, right?
Yeah, right. Thank you. The most Colorado thing we saw today was a pair of Colorado companies working together to help the survivors of Hurricane Michael. Longmont's Oscar Blues Brewery and Ball Corporation are sending canned water. They're canning water now to drive out there this weekend. They'll take more than 66,000 cans of water and hope to get it to Florida by early next week. And that is the most Colorado thing we saw today. Now, since you guys cannot seem to get enough of it, tonight we are playing another round of What Do You Say? We are noticing some curiosity about the areas in the southern part of our state. Tonight we are talking about a mountain pass in the San Luis Valley. Karen, Courtney, and Gary all wanted some help with this Ute word. And we also learned that there's a lot of confusion about its translation when we called the Rio Grande National Forest to ask, what do you say?
Proper pronunciation is Cochetopa. I've heard it described as Cochetope. I've heard it described as Buffalo Pass. Buffalo Pass or Pass of the Buffalo is an erroneous translation, that it's in fact obsidian.
For those of you who don't know, obsidian is a black glassy volcanic rock. We got our hands on a historic illustration of Cochetopa Pass in 1853 and a recent photograph. Still looks pretty similar. And Courtney, you want to know why it's sometimes referred to as North Pass? It is because Highway 114 travels over the northerly pass of the historic Cochetopa Pass. There you go. This pronunciation was just one of the many requests we have. What names do you want to learn about and learn how to pronounce? Email us your suggestions to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. Life in a refugee camp is inspiration for this artist.
I'm happy and grateful for everything that I've been through, because that's what makes me who I am, you know?
And perhaps a liquor store is the best place to find out someone has crossed the line. Next.
How you doing, sweetheart?
If anyone knows,
there she goes,
the difference between work and duty,
I know you're asking for.
Gene Jiggets has known ever since he met his wife, Mary.
Mary is a keeper.
He kept her through a life of secrets. In 1951, Jiggets was assigned to an elite group of 28 men working on something they called the hydrogen bomb. And now that his work is done, it is time for his duty, assisting his 93-year-old wife
in entering into dementia,
fighting a disease that's taking her mind.
I said one thing that I will pledge that I will never do as long as I'm able to assist. I will never put you in a home.
Because she is home.
Get to know the Johnsons 5 nights a week.
How about I give you $100?
No, 200, and you agree not to have any more children.
Okay, that's a decision I have. No.
A traditional family.
I'm here to help.
You're not Mom.
Where's Mom?
And an unconventional comedy.
I think you look good for your age, Dad.
40's not bad, right?
You're only 40? Good Lord, you've lived a hard life.
Weekdays starting at 5 p.m. on Channel 20.
1 in 4 girls will be sexually abused before her 18th birthday, and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before turning 18. Only 1 in 10 will tell. But today, thousands of children will enter a Children's Advocacy Center with the courage to talk about the unimaginable. Because one adult with courage was there. Are you the one with courage? To find a Children's Advocacy Center near you and to learn more, go to coloradocac.org/1.
Every day, I seek a positive direction for my life.
Through my accomplishments.
And now, with help.
And support from my family and others I own.
I own my recovery from addiction and depression.
Join the Voices for Recovery. It's worth it.
For information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referral, call 720-435-0686. Brought to you by Advocates for Recovery.
It's flu season. Protect your family. Find a 9 Health Fair near you and get a voucher for a free, convenient flu shot. You can also donate to provide a flu shot for a neighbor in need. Help your community stay healthy. For details, go to 9healthfair.org.
You know what they say about assumptions. They can be a dangerous game. But next viewer, Cheryl Bruns, has submitted some convincing evidence that someone in Thornton has crossed a line. She took pictures of Alexis parked in a handicapped parking space with 2 wheels up there on the curb. No indication of a permit there for that space, though we could be wrong. But what Cheryl finds most suspicious is the location, just steps away from Daveco Liquors early in the afternoon. Well, maybe, you know, they needed more. If you want to tell someone you crossed a line, email next 9news.com or use the hashtag HeyNext. Art can tell an artist's story without a word. A brushstroke, a photograph, a sculpture can all say something about the person who created it. Ann Herbst takes us to an exhibit in Lakewood where the art is telling a story that we don't often get to hear.
Like you have the charcoal piece and the painting.
Some people say art speaks to them.
I don't know, they're so interesting.
Ikra Hassan,
so many things to look at,
is one of those people.
This is my art.
She's actually an artist herself.
I don't like to stick to one certain thing. It kind of like bores me out.
Like most creative types, she started young.
It's actually 6 years old.
It's where she started that's different.
When we used to live in the refugee camp, so I would steal gasoline from my mom, and I would put it on a paper, and so like it would make it see-through.
19-year-old Ikra lives here now, but she was born and lived in a refugee camp in Yemen for 11 years.
This is supposed to be my mom.
Her parents came there from Somalia.
I feel like when I'm doing art, I don't know, somehow it just makes me remind of what I've been through, and every little art that I have has to do with what I've been through.
What Ikra's been through, and many of the other artists being shown at the Edge Gallery in Lakewood.
As far as I know, this is the first art gallery that's really exhibiting and showcasing the voices and stories of refugees and asylees.
50 pieces of art by refugees.
I mean, I love how that's set up, like in the balance.
Or by artists who focus on refugee experiences.
There's such a breadth and depth of creativity and story and passion in this community.
I'm happy and grateful for everything that I've been through, because that's what makes me who I am, you know?
It makes her art what it is too. For Next, this is Ann Herbst.
Voice, a celebration of refugee stories, opens tonight at Edge Gallery in Lakewood. All of the pieces are for sale, and 20% of those sales will go to a scholarship fund for young women in East Africa who want to continue their education. A stretch of Colorado Highway has a posted speed limit that's, maybe a little extreme. That and your good news next.
Matchsticks, matchbox, matching tie to matching socks. You don't know why, but you're really special to match point, match game. You and I are not the same, but I can tell that you're really special to me. There's something I can give to make you laugh, to help you live. We're the perfect match, and you're really special to me. We're the perfect match, and you're really special to me.
The Broncos Huddle, Wednesday nights at 6:30 on 9 News.
I know people don't always believe this, but I'm allowed to speak my mind on this show, and I'm allowed to showcase your thoughtful perspectives, even if the bosses don't agree with them. That really does happen here. That's the strength of Next. It's important to hear things that we disagree with, because lo and behold, we might change our minds. We also want Next to be a reflection of you watching at home. You're smart, funny, and you're unapologetically honest, even when it gets you in trouble. And that's what we hope that the show is as well.
Only those who have survived combat know what it's like to live with the memories. But Freedom Service Dogs can help veterans struggling with emotional and physical disabilities. Because Freedom Service Dogs are all shelter rescues, your donation today may not only save a dog, but also a veteran desperate to reclaim what has been lost. Help change their lives now at freedomservicedogs.org.
Did you know that 1 in 3 women in the United States experience rape, physical violence, and/or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime? This could be your mother, sister, daughter, or best friend. Safe House Denver provides safe shelter and comprehensive services to adults, children, and youth experiencing domestic violence. Visit safehouse-denver.org to learn how to help someone you suspect is experiencing abuse, or to learn about volunteer opportunities, donations, and other ways you can get involved.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
It is a sign that you must move extremely slowly on your way to and from Grand Lake, or perhaps just, like come to a complete stop. A next viewer named Debbie sent us this photo that her friend Cindy took. They noticed that this 0 mph speed limit sign was in a construction zone along Highway 34, a couple of miles south of Grand Lake. Guessing that number may have just fallen down. And we have a second sign, this one along I-70. A next viewer named Kyle Clark tweeted this one out and included a short conversation with his father-in-law about news coverage of a cow expo this weekend, to which Kyle responds, "I think it's Coin Expo weekend." If you see a sign that sticks out, email pictures of it to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. It's Friday. You know what that means. Your good news. Belinda's son has passed his driver's test. Chris plans to smoke a brisket all day and have a cocktail. And for many of you, it's just simply some time off after a busy week. And can we all agree it's been good to see blue skies and sunshine after a few days of clouds, rain, and snow? Soak it all up. So Catherine wrote me, says, I haven't heard how a wreck between a car and a bike who rolled through a stop sign would be judged. Bikers aren't perfect. If they roll through a stop sign, not seeing an oncoming car, and there's a collision, surely the car is not at fault. That is true. The bicyclist would still be at fault. You got to have the right of way. We'll see you next time.